and it's not exactly not one either. It has to do with actually the work that I'm doing with Arkansas Hospice. And I wanted to share with you the mission of Arkansas Hospice at the very front end. The mission is to enhance the quality of life for those facing serious illness and loss by surrounding them with love and embracing them with the best in the physical, emotional, and spiritual care. And that's where I come in as part of that, is spiritual care, and also their service for the veterans we'll talk about in just a moment. Can we have the next slide, please? I want you to know that you see that sun and the look like a wave like that in the sun that was in that first picture. That was, or actually the motto, or in a picture form of Arkansas Hospice. This is a guy, Michael, who actually began this back in 1992. This is the verse that he used to have that picture drawn from. The people living in darkness have seen a great light. On those living in the land of the shadow of death, a light has dawned. I just feel pretty privileged to work for a secular company that has this as the basis for everything they do. It is, in fact, a mission. We're dealing with people who are in fact, dying. Next slide, please. Now, one of the things that I do in particular for Arkansas Hospice is a part of the mission. We have a mission of reaching out and touching people's lives and helping them at the end of life. In particular, I work with this group of veterans. This is a veteran service program that is relatively new. It began back in actually 2012, and there were people working on that, and they got a certain distance on it, and it kind of didn't go as far. And in 2014, it was turned over to me to bring it further, and so we've developed this on out. Next slide, please. And there's a national awareness and action campaign. Next slide. Developed by the National Hospice and Palliative Care Organization. So this is something not just with us, it's with the whole nation. There is it's called a We Honor Vets thing that's going on in all hospices, well, not all hospices, but 5,000 hospices across the country. Next slide. It's in collaboration with the Department of Veterans Affairs as well. They are behind this, supporting this. They provide all kinds of things in the backdrop for this. And certainly there are people we work with as we try to help vets. We have to use the VA. And the next slide. And it's to encourage partnerships between community hospices, state hospice organization, and VA facilities, and also with religious organizations and groups. We set up some of just, in ministers' alliances around the state. I helped to set up the first one in Hot Springs. It's called a Community Action Board, CAB, and that is to get local pastors involved in reaching out to the veterans that are in the rural areas around us who are not receiving benefits and the help that they need. And in particular for us, those are the ones who are terminal. And there are a good number out there that are terminal. Next slide, please. We ask why the Veteran Service Program, and speaking of terminal, there are approximately 680,000 veterans die every year. That's 25% of the population. What makes that very interesting and important is they only make up, I'm one of the veterans too from Vietnam era, we make up only 9% of the population, which means that veterans die at a rate 250% of the normal population. Did you know that? The average age for male today is somewhere around 77 years. The average age for a Vietnam veteran, 65 years. That's it. They're dying 12 years sooner. And they are sicker because they're living with things at an earlier age. My brother was one of those, and that's why he died early. It was from a condition that goes back to the Vietnam era, hepatitis C, that he got from that later developed into liver cancer, and the liver cancer is what took his life. So he actually fell. We talk about someone who's shot and they fall, that we see that. But others come in contact with a bacteria or Agent Orange or bad blood, something, and then they may be decades later fall. It's the same thing though. They fall from that time. And that's who we work with. I work with people, some are World War II, some are Korean, some are Vietnam, and some, unfortunately, are these young men and women who are of the Persian Gulf and later. We're in a war right now, by the way, that is officially started in 1990. That's the official starting date. The ending date is this, to be announced at a later time by Congress. We're in a perpetual state of war since 1990. and there is no end in view. I don't know if you remember, when McCain was running for that, he said, well, this thing may take 100 years, and that's what lost him the race, many think. Well, McCain just might have been right. This may be a 100-year war, for all we know. But at any rate, there's going to be a whole lot of veterans, more and more and more, and they're coming back more traumatized. They're coming back with, it's called the Persian Gulf Syndrome now, and we have young men and women who are just in their, at this point, maybe in their late 30s, early 40s, who are becoming terminal because of bacteria that they pick up over there and some other chemical things that are being spread around. There is some chemical warfare going on. I don't care what anybody says. I get to see the after results. I know for sure it's happening. To what degree, I don't know. At any rate, we're seeing this. And it just slays me. I keep seeing all these people much younger than me, and veterans younger than me, and they're all passing. So that's what gets my heart is this. Next slide, please. Also with that, because the things that they're facing is 26% of the homeless people are vets. 1 out of every 4 people on the street you see is going to be a veteran. Why? Because they're so weak? Because they're so maladjusted? Because they have all these... What is it about them? No, they're not. They're very strong. They're not maladjusted, but they're encountering things that we have a hard time understanding. Of course, one of those things is called PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder. And you can get that too, it's very possible, but the vets are much more likely to get that because they are walking along with a friend. Next thing you know, their friend is dead. Or their arm is gone. Or everyone except them in their platoon is dead. You know what I'm saying? Those things are happening to these young people. And I'm talking about kids, 18, 19, 20 years of age. That's who this is happening to. They're still not through being formed. They're not adults. I don't know how we figured we're adults. Of course, I was 18 when I went into, but I thought I was adult. Of course, I thought I was adult at 16. And probably Tanny thought she was at 12. She told her mom, I'm an adult now. I can do what I want. She had reached full maturity at 12. There is a difference. That's true. But I can tell you, she hadn't, I hadn't, they haven't, but there we are. Something else that strikes them, and I work with this quite a bit, it's called moral injury. You ever heard that phrase, moral injury? Moral injury means that you have done something, been a part of something that you never dreamed you would ever do, and now you've done it. You've just shot someone and they died before you. You just lobbed in a grenade and it's blown up 3 or 4 or 5 people, men, women, and children, and they've died before you. I had one guy talk the other day who was putting in they were trying to rout out people that are down the tunnels. They call them these tunnel rats. He went down and set charges underneath in his tunnel to try to get rid of those who are hiding there, and they pop up and shoot you. But when they blew up this explosive, there were some other gas things in there, and it blew up. Excuse me. Hang on. What? I don't know what you're saying. She's trying to tell me something. At any rate, it blew up an entire village. And I've been talking with this guy, and he's just having a hard time. He can't, he feels it's his fault. It's his fault. All those people are dead because of him. He was following orders. So these are things that we're facing. And so it leads to this. This is where they wind up. And many of these people very shortly become terminally ill, by the way. That's how I get to see them. Next slide, please. There are 92% of veterans are not enrolled in the VA. I don't know if you're aware of that or not. We talk about how busy and overburdened the VA is and how they can't keep up their body. They only see 8% of the veterans. The other 92% are out there not receiving that help at all. Imagine if 100% were being seen. What then? But I can tell you they're out there, and they don't know. Next slide, please. They don't even know that they are vulnerable. And they're what we would call a vulnerable population because they're out there and they're terminal and they need help and they don't know even where to turn. They don't even know that the hospice exists. They don't know that hospice is a VA benefit for them. It would be totally paid for by the VA. No out-of-pocket expense for all the medicine, the doctor, the nurse, and all the equipment. They have no clue. And they're trying just to get by somehow, some way. So we have to get out there to them. I know that there is the VA, and every county has a veteran service officer. The veteran service officer job is to assist veterans getting benefits, including medical. The trouble is veteran service officers are only part-time. They get somewhere around $6,000 to $8,000 per year. They work from 1 to 2 days a week, typically, and they have an office space, and you've got to find them on a day that they are there. And if you are terminally ill, you're not going to find anybody. You're too sick. Most of the guys I come across, they can't get out of bed. It just doesn't happen. We have to find them first. And that's what, does it make sense what I'm saying? What we're doing? We're actually trying to reach out to these people who are right now dying. Not will die just soon. They may live for 6 months. They may live for 6 weeks. They may live for 6 days. They may live, and I've had some die in less than 6 hours. You know? It really can happen just that way. Next slide, please. So what we have in this vulnerable population is what Jesus would call one of the little ones. Now, you may have thought little ones are just little children, right? Don't you think of that? Oh, you know, be careful with the little ones. And I think of little children right off. But that is not the only ones he has in mind. The little ones are all those who cannot provide for themselves. And sometimes they're widows, and sometimes they're orphans, but sometimes they're fully grown, fully seasoned senior citizens. But this person here, without that person's help, could not even stay alive for another day. You know what I'm saying? They're vulnerable. These vets are the little ones that Jesus talked about. So does that make it our business? Yes. I think it makes it my business. I think it makes it all of our business. Doesn't mean all of us have to do what I'm doing, but we should be aware of that. We should be praying about that. We should maybe participate in some way. But that's why I want to get you more than anything else, is so that you are aware of this need. And we come into a house, and there's a patient who's been trying to figure out some way to get some pain pills because he didn't have the money to buy those things, and he can't even pay the air conditioning, which is probably not working now. Many of them in a little mobile home, which many live into. Many of these vets that I come across are living on just Social Security, maybe $1,000, $1,100 a month. Some of them $450 a month. You wouldn't believe what people are getting paid. There's one woman. She was the wife of a veteran. He was receiving $736 a month. She receives $17 a month, Social Security. Stay-at-home mom. At any rate, they are the little ones that we're to take care of. Next slide, please. So our goal is to provide the best possible care for veterans at a time when they are most vulnerable, while showing them the honor that they are due. Okay? We want to do that, provide them that support, and provide them. And what we want to say to them is, welcome home. And most of us gray-hairs around here remember the Vietnam War and the grand ticker tape parade and all the great welcoming that the Vietnam veterans received. Not. Yeah, they weren't called, they were called baby killers, and they were spat on, and we were warned by our command not to wear our uniforms off base because our fellow Americans. I know what you're saying, honey. You got it. I'm sorry. She's trying to tell me something. I'm doing something wrong, but that is not the first time today. Next slide, please. What? Okay. Here's why this makes it biblical. Showing honor, Paul says, give everyone what you owe him. If honor, then honor. These are some things that we do. This doesn't cost that much, but it just involves a little time. Do you see this person laying there? That person finally is receiving this honor that he has due. That's very important. Next slide, please. The Veteran Service Program mission is to promote veteran-centric educational activities. Next slide. Increase the organizational capacity to serve veterans. Next slide. Support development of strategic partnership. One more slide. And there's a special note as we're trying to do those things that we are the first hospice in the country to develop a separate veteran service program. And that would be, I'm the Veteran Service Coordinator. I'm the first one in the country to do that. There are others that will be doing that. And there are other programs out there, but this is a very specific, separate department that we're developing right now. We're also, Arkansas Hospice is the first level 4 We Honor Vets hospice in Arkansas, and so far, the only one. There's actually something behind that. You can't see it, so we'll go to the next one. And also, Arkansas Hospice is the only medically based nonprofit organization to receive the state VA endorsement. The ADVA, Arkansas Department of Veteran Affairs, recognizes nonprofit organizations that they will endorse to serve veteran communities. Arkansas Hospice is the only one in the state of Arkansas. Not just the only hospice, the only medically based organization. No hospitals, no clinics, nobody else but us so far. Okay? We are committed, and this is a special note, we are committed to the best practices for our veterans. That's what we're all about. Next slide, please. And there's a biblical principle here for this strong commitment. Why go all that trouble? Why go push that much into it? Why, if you spent the last 3 years working all this overtime and all that for this? Here's the reason. Next slide. Whatever your hand finds to do it with all your might. I really believe in this one. If it's worth doing, let's do it. Let's do it right. And anything we do locally here, by the way, whatever we're doing, and we got some things coming up too that if we're going to do it, let's just do it. Let's do it with all our might. Okay? And perhaps the most important part of the Veteran Service Program is not directly related to the veteran, but more to their survivors. For instance, when I ask a veteran, what is your biggest concern as you are facing the last few days, maybe weeks of your life, what's your biggest concern? Do you know what they invariably tell me? What will my family do? What will my wife do? We're not making it now. When they take my income away, then what? So next, the biblical principle is pure and lasting religion in the sight of God and our Father means that we must care for orphans and widows in their troubles and refuse to let the world corrupt us. It's out of James chapter 2, or chapter 1, verse 26. I really think this is what makes it for me such a pressing concern, is I know for sure when I am helping them out, and if I can get them some help, I am helping widows most of the time, and sometimes orphans as well. But most certainly it's widows. Okay? That's a big thing. Because again, they're living on practically nothing now, and you take nothing and divide it in half, what do you got? Not enough. That's what you got. Not enough. Next slide, please. Now you may have seen this quote, Ronald Reagan. If not us, who? If not now, when? He wasn't the first one to do that. Next slide. I'm getting a little older. I'm starting to get really close to some of your ages here, aren't I? If not us, who? If not now, when? John F. Kennedy. He wasn't the first one either. Going back another bit. Now, are we with Denny's? This is where you remember this is your first president, right? No. Do something now. If not you, who? If not here, where? If not now, when? He's not the first one either. Let's go back a little further. Yeah. Hillel the Elder. Now, if you're old enough to know this guy, you are really, this goes way back. And he said, if not you, who? If not now, when? You might have guessed I have one more. I'm going to go push back just a little bit further, right? Who would this be? Open your eyes and look at the fields. They're ripe in the harvest. Do not say, and 4 more months we will do this. He says, look around you right now. And he is saying, if not now, when? If not you, who? If not here, where? Isn't that what he's saying? It's exactly what he's saying. And that's what really fuels me, is that there is this present need right here, right now. There are 250,000 veterans in the state of Arkansas. 250,000. And we have this great need. What are we going to do about it? That's it. So I want you to know, be praying for us. And if you want to partner with us, see me just after service. If you've got just a whole bunch of money, I got to get rid of some of this money. Will there be a place to do it? I'll get to the right place. If you want, we can do stuff. We can figure it out. Just let me know. We can work some out later. I don't have to do anything today in particular. But we can work out stuff. You can send it in. We can do it online. There's all kinds of ways to do that. You just have to let me know, and I can talk with you at another time. Or you can call me, whatever. Okay? I don't want to be spending time back here collecting cash, really. I don't really want to do that. I just want you to have opportunity. Because this right here, that's the point we have to be done. Does that make sense? If we don't take care of him before he reaches there, then he or she does not get taken care of in this life. That's the deal. That's what pushes me, because I realize that every time I meet a new veteran, the clock is ticking, and it's ticking very fast. Every day it ticks faster as they're rushing to that place where they will finally fall. And for many, they are falling on the field of battle, only displaced from the initial injury. And I believe it is our responsibility. As Americans, perhaps, but as Christians, certainly. I think that is. And so that's all I wanted to share with you is just that. But I don't want to just stop there. And that's all I have to really say about that, by the way. And I want you if you want to talk to me later, call me sometime. You want to be a part of this in any way, there's lots of ways. Volunteer things, money things, prayer things, you name it, we can do that. Okay, so we're going to leave that there. I just want to end with a biblical kind of a thrust, especially in light of my brother dying this morning. In the book of Matthew and Luke and John, there's this woman who comes in, and where Jesus is eating, and she comes in and she begins to cry and wet his feet with her tears. And she takes her hair, which means her hair was down, so that means she wasn't a woman of repute, but of ill repute instead. She began to do that. And everybody was a little uncomfortable. You can imagine if we all went to Brandon's house and someone just walks off the street and all of a sudden she slips his shoes off and starts to wash his feet with her tears. We said, whoa, wait a minute. Whoa, what on earth is this? And Brandon said, hey, cool it, man. This is all right with me. Everyone get these feet washed. They haven't done it yet. No, we'd be wondering, and someone would say, what's going on? Somebody ought to say something. Well, everyone's waiting for someone to say something. Finally, someone did say something, but he only said it to himself. It was Simon. He said, the Pharisee, he said, well, if he were really a prophet, he would know what kind of woman this was. He wouldn't let her do that. And interesting enough, the one he said, if he only knew she was a prophet, he read his mind and said, well, Simon, I got something to say to you about that. There were two people that owed a great sum of money. One was let's say, like $10, and the other was $1,000, and they were both forgiven. Who would love the most? Well, I suppose the one who had been forgiven the most, right? And just try to put this in perspective that we would realize. Let's suppose that there were two of us who went down. We were called down to see the banker because we were behind on our mortgage. Denny, you and me, we're behind, and we're down there. And Denny, you're behind $25,000 on this mortgage. You haven't paid in 3 or 4 months. I'm behind $250,000 on mine. So you get called in, and they say, well, Denny, listen, we realize you had a little problem. You say, well, I know, but I'm going to pay you. I'm going to pay you. I'm going to get things worked out. We're going to sell this dental office. We're going to have the money. We're going to pay this, right? And the banker says, no, we're forgiving the debt. What? We're forgiving the debt. You don't owe anything anymore. Would you be okay with that? You'd say, wow, all right, bonus. That's great news, right? So I come in next to you, and I said, how'd it go? Well, it wasn't so bad, So I sit in there, and the banker says, well, Doc, looking at records, and you're really kind of far behind on this mortgage. I said, I know, but I'm going to pay back. I've got some things working out. We're going to sell the dog, and we're going to we're going to take care of this. And he says, I know, but I'm just going to forgive the whole debt. What? If you say that again, I'm forgiving the whole debt. You mean $250,000? Yes. You don't owe anything. The house is yours. The mortgage will be sent to your deed will be sent to your home in the next couple of weeks. What do you think I would do if I survived and didn't have a heart attack right on the spot? I would be thrilled. Now, Denny would be very happy, but between the two of us, which one of us would be feeling the best about this banker? Yeah, I said, man, you won't believe this guy, right? Let me tell you something. My brother received the kingdom of heaven today. If you have accepted Jesus Christ, it's not 25,000, it's not 250,000, it is more than you can even begin to conceive. We have received eternal salvation, a home in heaven. We have received the kingdom of God. How excited should we be? I just want to tell you, we need to be excited about this. We need to be able to tell people. If someone passed off $250,000 to me, you would know. I'd be telling you won't believe this. I'd be stopping people on the street. Guess what happened? Everybody would know, right? I'd be like a grandparent with the first grandchild. Unstoppable. They'll show you pictures you don't even want to see. Wait a minute, get back here. You haven't seen this one yet. Maybe we need to rethink. Because we get caught up. Tanny and I were talking this morning about we get so caught up in things that aren't worth anything, right? But we've been given something that's worth everything. Let's bow for a prayer at this moment. Our Holy Father in heaven, we just want to thank you that you have given us the gift of life, life eternal, which begins now and never ends. Help us, Father, to realize what a glory we have, how much you have given us, and how absolutely beyond wildly wealthy we really are. Not just in material things, but, Father, in everything that really counts. We're absolutely wealthy beyond imagination. We want to thank you and help us, Father, to share that message, that you want to give everyone that same amount of redemption, that same amount of gifting that they could never, ever achieve on their own. In Jesus' holy name, amen.